Hello everyone. So I thought I'd make a video about intimacy and vulnerability, two of our most favorite things as human beings, right? Why is it so easy to, when we're home alone, that we could just relax and be ourselves, but when we're around other people, we seem to hold back on our natural giving, our natural sharing, or whatever. Maybe you don't. I don't anymore, but I used to because I was in so much fear of what people would think of me. I was always trying to say the right things and what they wanted to hear instead of how I was really feeling. That's abandoning ourselves, and that creates mistrust in ourselves. That's a reason why a lot of us don't trust ourselves, because we're not honoring how we truly feeling. We're not honoring how we're truly thinking. We're trying to say the right things, do the right things, and we're taught that as little children. So, please don't beat yourself up if you do this. Part of, changing our patterning is awareness, self-awareness. And it's so beautiful when we can do it with compassionate eyes instead of judgmental eyes. We find a part of us, say, for instance, people pleasing. Now, that's a big one for a lot of us because that's how, we got our needs met when we were little. We had to people please. We had to figure out what everybody else wanted in order for us to be accepted and loved. And we didn't even do this consciously. As little beings, we're very smart. And whatever we need to do for survival, we'll do it. Sometimes we learn manipulation to get our needs met when we're younger. Sometimes we learn people pleasing. Sometimes we learn, and I say learn because it's a learned behavior. So since it's a learned behavior, it can also be unlearned. For instance, let's just take people pleasing for right now. For me, people pleasing is doing for another person but stagnating in your own energy. There's a difference between doing out of love and care. Doing out of love and care is seeing the person happy because it makes you happy. But if it's not making you happy, if there's something inside of you that feels like it has to do it because you're afraid of that person not liking you, you're afraid of that person abandoning you, you're afraid of that person hurting you, then that's your inner child saying, I'm really afraid right now. I need to put on this mask. I need to say the right things, and I want them to like me. And in the long run, that never works in a relationship because we have to keep doing that. And when we keep doing that, we start to become resentful. We start become resentful towards them, but then resentful towards ourselves because we're not honoring ourselves. And then we don't understand why we don't like ourselves. And then we perceive the world through the lens of not liking ourselves. So we see other people not liking us. Now, if we have wounds and scars, as me, I had many of them, with people pleasing and everything else that happened when I was a child. This is a process. It's not a quick fix. It's just recognizing, hey, you know what? I'm in this situation again. Am I really acting true to myself, or am I acting in accordance with my inner child who's really just afraid and just wants to be held and wants to be loved? That's what inner child healing is. It's not denying that part of us. It's not getting mad at that part of us. It's really acknowledging that and saying, hey, you know what? This was a pattern and it served me at a time. And thank you, pattern, for serving me at a time. But right now, I'm very capable of handling this situation. I feel very centered. And if you don't feel centered in yourself, don't lie about that. I'm working on being centered in myself, and I would really like to change this pattern. These are ways we can learn how to talk to ourselves, because how we talk to ourselves is really important. When we're constantly criticizing ourselves, when we're constantly judging ourselves, when we're constantly putting ourselves down, we're just suppressing all of our greatness from coming up, right? So all that stuff is all chatter. So how I see it is we're this divine being in the middle, in the center, we're this being of love, of joy, of peace, of harmony, and then we get all these layerings on us and all these things, and then they get pushed down in the shadows. So our shadows kind of taint the essence of who we are, the love of who we are, and those shadows prevent us from being open and connect with others. The only way we could really connect with others is if we're vulnerable. Being honest. If you're hurt, say so. Not everybody will be able to receive that. Some people will defend themselves. Well, you hurt me, and that'll just be a power struggle, which is two personalities just kind of going at it, because what's underneath that? to children wanting to be loved. So they want to be heard, they want to be seen, they want to be accepted, they want to be loved. Just like we want to be heard, we want to be seen, we want to be accepted, we want to be loved for who we are and how we're feeling. And that starts with learning how to do that for ourselves. Now, if we don't know how to do that for ourselves yet, it can be helpful to work with somebody like me to help you, to hold that space for you, for one, and to help you to say, you know what, help guide you to where all that programming started, all that programming that disconnects us, from our hearts and souls. It's like all that programming. When a feeling happens, we immediately move up into our heads for protection. When a feeling happens, an unwanted feeling, we immediately move into doing something, getting busy or drinking or smoking or having sex or eating or something like that, because as a child, if you're like me, as a child, you probably never were taught that it's okay to feel however you're feeling. In fact, you may have been screamed at and punished if you cried or threw a tantrum, which that part of you was trying to get a need met but didn't know how to, because as children, we don't have a way to articulate our needs, right? So as adults, we may not either. So learning how to articulate our needs is also a very important thing to learn. How do we even know what that is? How do we even know what we're needing in any situation? Most of us don't. I didn't. This takes practice. This takes understanding. We only know what we're needing by knowing how we're feeling. Now, our feelings don't necessarily guide us. Our feelings are just showing us what's going on internally. Now, if our feelings are really intense, a lot of people say sit with your feelings. I don't say that, because if you've had a lot of trauma, just sitting with our feelings isn't healing, because the body may start to reminisce over that traumatic experience, and all those feelings come up to the surface, where if you don't have a place to resolve that, if you don't have a place to be held and loving, if you don't have a place to know that you're okay during that time, you can freak out. I know I did. I want to put suggestions into you, but I know I did, and it was really challenging. So, I encourage you to please, just be discerning. A lot of people say, I want to do the healing now. I want to do shadow work. I want to do all this. I want to get this stuff out of my system. Well, that's that part of you that's still afraid. That's that part of you that's trying to work through it really fast so it doesn't have to unravel the layers and be with each part. Each part that comes up, it's like, oh, I see you, I love you. Oh, I see you, I love you. Oh, I see you, I love you. And we have many parts. I've had many parts come up, and I still do. And that's just part of the journey. The thing is, as long as we keep suppressing it, it eventually clogs our system. And when it clogs our system, it taints our perceptions and points of views. When it taints our perceptions and points of views, we see the world as a threat. We don't feel safe. We don't feel safe with ourselves or the world. First of all, we don't feel safe with ourselves because we're not honoring ourselves. And a part of us knows that. And a part of us says, hey, you know what? You're not being true to you. How can you even trust yourself right here, right now? Even with a lot of people talk about making small promises to ourselves daily, and that's a really good thing. But also keep your promises with others, because keeping our promises with others is actually keeping our promise to ourselves. I know the other day I was going to meet a friend, and part of me didn't want to go, and part of me did, and I was wanted to do something else, and then I really wanted to go out with my friend, and I had this it's like I just kind of sat with that. Yeah, so you know what? I committed to this. I'm going to go through with it, and I had a really, really good time, and I'm glad I did. So things like that, and I think I had a really good time also because I honored my commitment, not only to myself but to her. And I think that's really important if we want to build healthy relationships. It's doing our part too. A lot of times we look at what we want to get from that person, but what are we bringing to the relationship? I know a lot of these manifesting videos on manifesting your soulmate. What do I want in a soulmate? Blah, blah, blah. But what are we bringing to that? What are we bringing to the relationship? What are we bringing to life? What are we bringing to the world? What are we bringing to ourselves? What are we bringing to our hearts? What are we bringing? I want to be important. How about making life important? You are life. Life is part of everyone and everything. Inner children, inner children, inner parts, all parts just want to be loved and accepted. It's such a beautiful opportunity when things come up, when we get triggered, to see a part of us who may be scared, who may be frightened, who has been hiding in the corner, is now coming up to be loved on. That's all it is. I say that in the healing is the loving, and the loving is the healing, and it's really true. But if we don't know how to do that, it's really helpful to get somebody to hold a space of love for us, someone who understands the healing journey, someone who could take you through the process. If you can't do that yet, that's okay too. Sometimes, there's a part of us that resists getting support because we don't feel like it's okay, we don't feel worthy of it, and part of us really doesn't want to change because change is scary to the personality, exciting for the soul. We don't know the difference when we're caught in conditioning and our hurts and wounds and all that. That's what addictions are. It's like we want it, but we're also scared to let go of it. Our rituals around food, for me, my rituals around food and exercise and taking sleeping pills and cutting my wrists and face, those were all things that I did, and I didn't want to stop because it was my coping mechanism. When I stopped, my stuff did come to the surface, and I had to face a lot of things that I didn't want to face. I had to didn't have to, but I chose to. I chose to learn how to comfort myself, Big Debra and Little Debra, and learn how to be with ourselves in loving ways. And my wish for you, if you want this too, is for you to experience this. It's such a different world. I can only tell you, there's no way that I could not see beyond limited perceptions that I was living in. I couldn't see beyond the darkness. I couldn't see beyond the anxiety. I couldn't see beyond just God take me. I spent my life resisting life, and it's just no fun. We've been given this gift of life. We've been given this opportunity to be in a human body. We've been given this opportunity to experience the physical senses with our sights, with our smells, with our hearing, with our, everything about, with our touch and everything about, whatever, holding our hands. And it's such a beautiful life. You are a beautiful soul. You are amazing in every way. Your true magnificence, the part of you that is just divine without anything that the humanness has been tainted with. There's a divine soul, and through the personality we get to learn and grow, and that's why it's a beautiful opportunity to integrate them, to integrate heart, mind, body, soul, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. It's beautiful. Our humanness is beautiful, with all the flaws, with all the insecurities, with all the fears. Everything about it is part of being human. Not everybody talks about it, but it's part of being human, and it's beautiful. So I hope this video inspired you in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 ways or another. Feel free to reach out for support if you would like support on your journey. I would love to support you. I know you could do this if you choose. I believe in you, and I love